Podcasting. Anyone ever thought about having a podcast? Where do I start? Where do I begin? Here's a tip for you, something that I use, Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It is absolutely free, and they provide all the creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer, phone, tablet, whatever device you have. It is super convenient, and Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you. Your podcast can be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Grow your listeners and get as many people as possible to listen to your podcast. Everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Let's do it.
Shows are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Welcome to the Edventures in Tech podcast. Talking the latest tips and trends in educational technology to innovate and engage your students. Here are your hosts, Andrew and Dan.
Welcome to episode 24 of the Adventures in Tech podcast. My name is Andrew.
And my name is Dan.
And we are excited you are on this journey with us, already through 24 episodes, more than 12 hours of content, Dan.
That's amazing.
I'm tired of talking.
It's almost getting up there with the 10 million cells in Google Sheets.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap up season one. I think we kind of prefaced that last week with a 25th episode. So next week will be our last live recorded episode until we kick back off in the new school year. So as always, if you like the content, help us out by providing feedback and a rating wherever you download your podcast from. We greatly appreciate your support, and spread the word so the Adventures in Tech podcast can grow. Classroom updates, we're going to skip for this week. We have a lot to talk about. And
all right.
I don't get the would you rather this week. Dan has kicked me to the curb, left me in the trenches taking grenades all alone.
I did, and I don't know how this is going to work out, but it's going to sound kind of weird to come up with at first, but I promise you I'm going to circle back to it later.
Okay,
I will
enough.
say that Andrew has no idea where I'm going with this
clueless.
or the topic of discussion that I want to bring into this podcast.
It's in our notes. So, but it's not in our notes, I should say.
It's not in our notes.
So I have no clue.
I'm definitely
the blind
tossing
leading
grenades.
the blind. Yeah.
All right. So it's kind of I want you to just imagine this, all right? You've been invited to a large dinner party. All right?
Dinner with Schmucks. Remember that movie? Anyway, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that movie, right? So you figure there's like 30, 40 people that have been invited to this dinner party.
Oh, no.
So you're thinking about you want to go. And and let's think about the food that's going to be served.
Okay.
And you're thinking about what you'd like to have at that dinner party.
Are we talking first course, main course?
Oh, everything.
Okay.
Everything. So
right.
I'm going to give you two scenarios of what the menu could look like. So the first scenario is the host of the dinner party decided to make individual meals customized to every person that's coming.
I kind of know where you're going with this, but I'll keep my mouth closed and play along. Okay. Keep
or
going. Individual.
Yes, these nice individual. I mean, put a lot of thought into it.
Absolutely.
Look at all the needs.
40 different meals.
For what they like, what they're allergic to, all their diets. And it's going to put 40 individualized meals out there for people to have. Or your second option is just a giant buffet.
A buffet.
A buffet. So
Okay.
What would you hope for going to that dinner party? Would you like individualized meals for each different person? Or would you like one giant, massive buffet?
I guess my first question would be, I mean, I know what my answer is, but I guess it would kind of say, okay, is it a certain time of year? Like Thanksgiving, turkey, and all the fixins? Or is it, I just threw you a curveball, didn't I?
You did. You can choose any kind of meal you'd like.
Okay.
The greatest meal you could ever eat.
I got it. I would go to the individual meals.
Okay.
I would.
All right.
Because that's differentiation on my level.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We'll circle back to that one.
Okay. Sounds good. Maybe I answered it incorrectly.
There is no incorrect answer.
All right.
But maybe our listeners can think of what would they really like.
That's a great question. They get to play the Would You Rather.
They get to play it.
All right. Weekly wind-up while we're, letting that permeate. Summer Googlepalooza.
Woohoo.
And MassQ. MassQ is up in Massachusetts, obviously. And they have Googlepalooza August 10th, 2022 coming up. It's called Recharge, and MassQ was excited to announce that they were going to be hosting their popular Googlepalooza in person at
Go for that one. Come on.
Tantasqua Regional Junior High School this summer. You can join other educators on August 10th for a full day of all things Google. Educators will have a choice of attending G Suite for Education hands-on workshops by experienced Google certified trainers and educators. You can join the fun, recharge for the upcoming school year. The registration is out now, and I don't know what the cost is. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if it's free $99. I don't think so.
Probably not, but
yeah, you got to pay with a credit card. Yeah, if you're into that, absolutely for Google, check it out, and we'll put it in the show notes.
Excellent. All right.
Let's talk Google Keep.
Oh, I love Google Keep. I just sent you a Keep this morning.
You did.
I did.
I'm going to keep it.
Thank you.
We have a teacher's guide to getting organized with Google Keep. So for those unfamiliar, Keep is a free Google Workspace app that allows you to create, store, organize, and search notes. And my brain and Dan's brain, yeah, they're in sync a lot of the time. That's why people call us Dan Drew. However, we forget where some things go. So
I think that's more on my. That was
more
a
on
dig.
your end.
That was. I just wrote something on the whiteboard today.
I'm going to lose it. But it's powerful, simple to use, making it an ideal note-taking app, and it's accessible anywhere, most devices with a web browser, and also has dedicated apps for iOS and Android phones. So
yeah, some good things that Google Keep Notes are great for your meetings, for reminders, checklists, brainstorming, website links, planning, and then like a clipboard for often used text. So you can just copy and paste that in.
I've used that many times. They also have bulleted lists, which makes it great for taking notes in meetings and school. And, of course, if you are a big fan of OneNote or Evernote, we're not saying that, you got to have the tool that works best for you. And being in the Google ecosystem, we just like that much better.
And I will say what I like about it is our favorite free 99.
Yep.
It's similar as to OneNote or Evernote, but again, those applications come with a little bit of cost for the premium. So Google Keep is free 99.
Yeah, and this I didn't even see who wrote this. What was his name? Dave Carty. Anyways, he wrote this, and he actually had a great background image to a Google Keep note header, which kind of makes it stand out a little bit more. So we'll share that out in the show notes. All right, Dan, you want to talk Chrome extensions? 5
Chrome extensions that make Google Classroom even more awesome. Can it be more awesome?
I don't know.
I know some ways it could be more awesome, but let's look at some of those extensions that are there. So as I go through those extensions, look what number 1 is.
I love it.
I love it. And Moat. I think we're all on the Moat boat over here. So for those of you not familiar with Moat is a free Chrome extension that allows you to leave voice notes and feedback inside Google Classroom and many other Google apps.
Yep. Yeah, and number 2, we've also have a lot of experience with Screencastify, which, again, is a free 99 app, which allows you that screen recording tool, and it's free, offered for teachers and students, and saves to Google Drive for easy access.
I love the Screencastify, especially that it's fully integrated with Google Classroom. Really makes it easy for you to get those videos out for students, but for students to create their own videos and submit them back to you.
Yeah, number 3, book widgets, which I don't think we've talked a lot about.
No,
book
we
widgets,
haven't.
And I think that's something that maybe we'll put on the radar in our Google Keep notes for next year, right? Is to talk about book widgets and how Google Classroom and book widgets together is really a superpowered digital classroom. You could basically make over 40 different types of activities without ever leaving Google Classroom. Combine text, video, quizzes, interactive widgets to let the students learn and practice at their own pace. Student work is automatically graded and imported into the Google Classroom. So it's something you could download, and, of course, free 99.
I like it. So number 4, I see they have Nearpod there. Nearpod is an interactive presentation and assessment tool. Teachers can use it to create interactive lessons that contain quizzes, polls, videos, images, drawing boards, web content, and more, as well as their Nearpod Collaborate tool. So Nearpod is great. It is free for up to 30 students, and it does also have some other features that are behind a paywall, but it is a great tool, and it's also very similar to one of my favorites,
Pear Deck,
which is Pear Deck. I love the integration of Pear Deck right into Google Slides, so that makes things really easy, and that contains a lot of the same things: quizzes, polls, video. It basically has the same tools. It's just a little bit different platform.
Right. It's literally pretty much the same tool, just presented differently. That's all it is.
I've used number 5 a few times. It's really interesting, and it's called Insert Learning. So there is a free version, and there is also a paid version. So for those of you not familiar with Insert Learning, it's a Chrome extension that lets you turn websites into interactive lessons, and it is a perfect companion to your blended learning lesson plans.
Yeah, that's great. So those 5 Chrome extensions can definitely, hopefully, put them on your radar that make Google Classroom even more awesome. I know we're wrapping up this school year, but definitely to put on your radar as you kick off your next school year. I did want to talk about a tweet we saw from Jake Miller and Jake Miller Tech, and he just talked about the feature of Moat and Wakelet. So you pop your Moat links right into a Wakelet and get a nice little audio embed.
And would that be an app smash?
That would be an app smash, and it's huge for digital portfolios and other student projects. So now that you can embed those voice notes into Wakelet collections, talk about portfolios, boosting engagement, saving time, and obviously connecting with your community.
Right.
All right. Last thing we do want to just mention, Dan, is about Google Sites, classic sites.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
Yeah.
I think they started sunsetting this a couple of years ago, right?
Yes, they did, and they were going to do to pretty much sunset all of the classic Google Sites as of June 1st, 2022. However, they're now pushing that date back about 6 months to December 1st, 2022. Mm-hmm. And then by the new year, January 1st, classic sites is no longer viewable unless they've been converted to the new Google Sites.
Right. And they have the conversion all set, and there's Google in their workspace updates definitely walks you through the process. If you still happen to have a classic site out there somewhere that you'd still like to hold on to, you can migrate it over. So we'll include that in the show notes.
Yeah, that's just some housekeeping on their end. They're finally moving everybody to the new sites and getting rid of the classic Google Sites, which was way back when.
Right.
All right, so first discussion point we want to discuss is, I know the past few episodes we were talking with Matt Miller at Matt Miller, Ditch That Textbook, and we've had a lot of time to connect with Matt. Matt actually came, offered a full day of learning in our district, and all I can say is everybody, the feedback's been 1,000% positive, and everybody left invigorated with new ideas and just refreshed. Even though we're getting down to that grind of regents and everything's starting to wind up, it really gave them ideas as they start to look towards next year.
One thing I can say about when Matt came to the conference day is he is no joke. He has boundless amounts of energy.
He does.
He was from his keynote to running like 4 breakout sessions right in a row. Was really energetic, kept people engaged, and as Andrew said, people were able to go to his sessions and walk away with something that they can apply right away.
And we've talked a lot with Matt and all of his books, all of the Efficient Teach, which is the crowdsourcing book as we speak, and obviously all of the resources that he gives out for free. And it just actually, I mean, we've met him in person before, but for everybody else who had never had that opportunity and to see his keynote was, the Art of Memorable Teaching was absolutely phenomenal. And I think it really resonated with a lot of people.
And, one thing that was said to us by a few different people were, they said how shocked they were that Matt's message did not include technology.
Right. His focus was not tech.
It was instruction.
Yep.
Which I'm going to take this and I'm going to flip it around for Andrew.
There we go.
That is why I asked the question in the beginning and kind of throwing something out there to him out of the blue, just so we can get a more gut reaction from it. So,
well, you got my gut reaction so far. What do you got for me?
So the reason why I brought up that scenario is I started looking more about Matt's message and everything that was going on in instruction and everything that we talked about, through this season in the podcast, the idea of PBL, student choice, creativity, collaboration, everything that's out there. And really what we are talking about is the universal design for learning and why the universal design for learning is needed now.
Yeah, UDL.
So, we talk about UDL. Education is full of those acronyms, but let me go through what UDL is. UDL is Universal Design for Learning. It's an education framework based on decades of research and neuroscience, and it is endorsed by the Every Student Succeeds Act. UDL is considered a best practice for teaching all students in an inclusive learning environment.
All-inclusive environment. Got it.
Right. So the goal of UDL is to create learners who are purposeful and motivated, resourceful and knowledgeable, and strategic and goal-oriented. In other words, expert learners. So as I was reading all about this and I saw that paragraph come up, it really made me think of what are we preparing our students for their future, and all the things that we saw in our trips to Google, and what the skills that employers are looking for colleges. It's all of those right there.
It is. It is.
So, another thing that, really draws me to really seeing why Universal Design for Learning is needed right now is with UDL, teachers can transition their role to facilitator and remove barriers to learning by giving students options and choices that empower them to take control of their own learning and reach those rigorous standards that are applied to each grade level and content area.
Sure.
So to universally design lessons, teachers must provide multiple means of engagement, multiple means of representation, and multiple means of action and expression. So if we think about that in terms of differentiation, how do we differentiate for our classes? It's very hard to do, especially in these inclusive classroom environments.
Sure.
But by thinking, how can I create my lessons that provide multiple means of engagement, multiple means of representation, and multiple means of action and expression, it can really allow me to utilize student choice and allow them to take more control. And I feel as they take that ownership and take more control, the engagement is there.
And I think there has to be an understanding that a lot of the work will be front-loaded.
Sure.
But the benefits the rewards of this kind of, learning and instruction style, you can never put a price on.
Right. And then by front-loading, for teachers, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, does it come easier over time? Absolutely.
Sure. Just like riding a bike. But if you spend the time front-loading and creating all these multiple options, you are more adaptable over time with your students and with your classes. You're not bogged down by the daily lesson plans. What am I doing today? What am I doing today? Correct.
What am I doing today? We're falling behind here, or I have this. You have the scaffold. You have all of those safety measures already planned out because you've accounted for all of these things.
Yeah, and it kind of resonates, just this conversation with a comment, quote that Matt said is, if you want to go fast, you'll go solo.
Right.
If you want to go far, go together.
Right.
So that kind of resonates as we talk about this.
Right. And so, as you start looking at shifting this focus of planning and delivering the instruction, especially with the UDL model, find people to do it with.
Yeah. Yeah. Your department, your team, grade level, colleagues, doesn't have to be the same district.
No.
Anybody. Right.
All right. So now I'd like to explain my
your analogy.
My analogy a little more. But this is coming from, this analogy is not my own. Can't take credit for it, but there is a new book that's out right now by author Katie Novak, and it's called UDL, right? UDL Now. And she explains UDL in this dinner party analogy. So let me go through those different scenarios. All right, so let's talk about this. I like to explain the differences by asking teachers to think about hosting a dinner party. Let's say you have invited over 30 guests. Several of these guests have food allergies. Another few are gluten-free. Some are vegetarian or lactose intolerant, and your brother is exclusively paleo.
Sheesh.
I know, that's a lot. You want to be the perfect host, and you want to accommodate everyone.
Sure.
There is no right or wrong.
Well, there's not, but, you're looking at your audience there. You would want to ensure you accommodate everyone with all of their food allergies and dietary restrictions.
Okay, I agree.
Okay.
But let's look at this scenario broke down.
Yes, sir.
You decide to make individual meals for each guest so that each of them has the perfect dish. It's a lot of juggling to do.
It is.
In the end, you are exhausted from all the cooking,
Yeah.
You've made a few mistakes because it's nearly impossible to get everyone's individual meal perfect, and you didn't enjoy yourself.
That's true.
At the same time, you are frustrated that some of your guests preferred others' meals when you had made a special dish just for them.
Fair point.
Okay, so what I just described is the dinner party equivalent of direct instruction.
Yes, you did.
Direct instruction is presenting options, but those options are directed by the teacher. For example, you may take one group of students aside and ask them to read an extra piece of literature because you can tell they are more advanced than their peers.
Sure.
You ask another student to draw a picture instead of writing an essay since you know writing is challenging for them. You are presenting options, but these options are governed by you, and it's possible you haven't chosen the right options for the right students. You are burnt out from trying to create so many individualized lessons.
That's that level of exhaustion.
It is. So, I think about it when I first read, I'm like, scenario number one is great, and I still think it is.
It
right?
is.
You're really looking at differentiating for each individual student, but it's exhausting.
Correct.
And to do that on a daily basis, and then
it's not possible.
And then to maintain it.
Right.
And then to do that over time.
That's the burnout.
That's the burnout. That's the exhaustion.
Right.
All
That's
right.
the burnout factor. Absolutely.
So, it's not wrong. It's exhausting.
It's just different.
You're not, I don't think anything you're going to hit the nail on the head every time, but I think it does leave open some opportunities for missing the mark.
Sure.
So let's go back to that dinner party in scenario number 2. Rather than preparing 30 individual meals, why not put out a buffet? Include lots of variety, but let the guests choose what is best for them, what they believe will work with their individual diets and satisfy them. You don't witness guests peering at others' dishes, wishing they had made the same thing.
Right, because they could have it.
You are relaxed and engaged. You have saved your... Something just popped up. Sorry. Oh, no.
Dan broke his computer.
I did. All of a sudden, my whole thing just flashed off the screen. Think I can get it back in a second.
I would help you out here, but you didn't share the notes with me.
I didn't. All right. Off the rails. I'm glad we can cover that up.
We can laugh about it.
All right, you don't witness those guests peering at others' dishes, wishing they had the same thing. But more importantly, you are relaxed and engaged. You have saved your energy for interacting with your guests instead of wasting it preparing imperfect options.
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about UDL, providing those multiple means, we're really talking about providing a buffet.
Yeah.
UDL offers students a buffet of options. The options are offered by the teacher, but they aren't individualized for specific students. Through the UDL framework, students are intended to become self-directed learners and choose the options that work best for them, not the other way around.
Right.
With UDL, students learn to take responsibility for their learning. They are learning the why of learning as we turn the effective network of the brain by providing multiple means of engagement. They learn the what of learning as we ignite the recognition network of the brain by providing multiple means of representation. And they learn the how of learning as we turn the strategic network of the brain through multiple means of action and expression. I think that's a lot of, it's also what Matt's message was, and it's reflected in his efficient teach effort that's going forward right now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, and I don't think there's one answer, like you said. I think it's a combination.
And it is, I think, but, I'm going to say that there's also a third option.
The combo.
So,
right.
Well, in education, there's often a third scenario, and this scenario is the casserole option.
See, you just mix it all together.
Where
Combo,
everyone is fed
fed
the same meal in one big pot. Doesn't matter what your dietary needs are or what your taste palate's wants are. When you have a casserole as your only option, that is what you get. So think of that. Pair that with the idea of one size fits all in the classroom. Every student, regardless of their needs and wants, getting the same lesson at the same pace at the same level.
I'm not a big casserole person.
No, just as the casserole would be sure to miss the mark for many of your guests, the one-side lesson would look the same in the classroom.
Yeah, I'm not a casserole person.
Not really.
No.
Unless I can make my own.
Yeah, but still.
You went to that Thanksgiving thing. There's piled it all in there on one.
Yeah, but there's
sandwich.
options.
There are options.
Maybe I want squash casserole versus green beans versus carrots versus corn on the cob versus turnips.
So
I don't know.
When I have my
sweet potatoes.
When I have my
buffet,
potatoes, I can make my own.
Yeah. Right. It's the same thing, right? I mean, I wouldn't say that's a casserole, but I can see the options. You have options there. It's like a buffet. It's just on one table.
Sure.
So-
But, I just wanted to bring that out because, we
Good
talked.
to bring it to light.
Bring it to light because we talked about a lot over this podcast, and it's like, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from listeners. How do I possibly do all this? How do I, get proficient
Burnout,
at this?
that's what we hear a lot.
The burnout, everything there. But I think it's mindset. That dinner party analogy really, your buffet doesn't have to have 30 individualized, trays of food out there.
No.
But you start learning. You learn for yourself. You learn for your students. Will you miss the mark?
Sure.
Sure. But
First attempt in learning.
having options will allow you to adapt. It'll
Right.
allow your students to adapt.
Agreed.
So that's me and my curveball and my,
Soapbox.
well, I love my soapbox sometimes.
You are. Sometimes I just got to kick it out from underneath.
But it's actually more of my stream of consciousness as I think about what my why is and why I'm sitting here talking and why I am in the place I am today.
I think that just, kind of goes back to episode 1 or 2 when we talked about your why with Michael B. Jordan.
Right.
Kind of just brings it all back together and wraps it up overall. But I think that's a great analogy, with all 3 of the options that you presented when you talk about UDL. And it's something to look into when you're on a beach or you're at a mountain hiking, wherever you are over the summer to recharge your batteries. Read some articles on UDL. We always talk about AJ Giuliani. He's got a ton of stuff out there on UDL, and obviously the article that Dan had just referenced. So, all right, we're not going to have time to get to anything else I put in there.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. So we will wrap up episode 24. As always, Dan, any final thoughts?
Well, actually, yeah, there is.
Of course there is.
There's something that I did want to put up. I put it in the wrong place in our notes.
Oh, so I can't even read it.
For the weekly wind-up. But there's something new in RaiQ. I love the TechSmith products, but there's now writing prompts.
Yeah, I can see this one. You actually shared it.
I did. I put it in the wrong spot.
Oh.
But
You
it's
didn't
there.
use Google Keep, my friend.
All righty. But they've updated RaiQ to help with writing flow, so to have more creativity on tap. So it's going to automatically allow students through their RaiQ extension to access some
I like these prompts.
some writing prompts. So it's a bank of writing prompts that can be accessed by students right from their extension in the maximize button above their burst meter. They can open the menu button, select prompts, and the prompts menu can access writing prompts assigned to them across all curriculum teachers.
I love it. Creative writing, fun, journal, narrative, younger prompts, and opinion. You're hitting all genres of writing there.
Right.
I love it.
I love it too. So,
It's definitely going to inspire spark and creativity for students of all ages who enjoy writing for pleasure. They can unwind, decompress after those long days. And again, it's not a casserole. It's given the choice.
right. So
I like it.
that's
great.
That's my final thought.
That is a great final thought. So, obviously, swag, fill out the sticker request. Again, thank you for all your support, listening on all the platforms, leaving those reviews. Any questions, comments, suggestions, as always, reach out. Till next time, tech hard, work smart, live in adventure.
Find Andrew on all socials at A Tech and Dan at WCSD Tech DR.